And happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kane. It's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by See-Through Group, Merlin Law Group, American Contractor Show, as well as Atlas Roofing. Thank you guys, as always, for sponsoring our videos. So we do have an area today. I'm trying not to jinx it. That's why I am saying KC. Well, KC. See large hail today. There's a chance to see large hail from Missouri down to Texas, including that city that I will not say in full here because I don't want to jinx you guys. But then as we get into tomorrow, we do have a larger area that we're going to be watching, basically from Chicago all the way down to possibly DFW. So we'll get into the details on that. And then there may be another area on Friday that we'll be watching as well. So we'll get into all the details in just a second. But first, we do have one event coming up. This is Win the Storm 2024. This will start tomorrow through the 16th down in Dallas. If you haven't purchased any tickets yet but you want to go, you can use the code TRACE and that will give you a discount. If you're going to the show, Hail Trace will be at booth 606. So come on by and say hi if you're going to Win the Storm down in Dallas. So yesterday we did see some hail across parts of Missouri, including the eastern parts of the far Kansas City metro, and then some more scatter reports here across Missouri, as well as a few in far southeastern Kansas. We do have a 2-star map available on our site if you are interested in that. But in terms of today, high pressure still in control across much of the eastern part of the U.S. We do have a system in the middle of the country that we'll be watching this afternoon through the evening hours and getting really into tomorrow as well. You can see a low spinning here in central Kansas, bringing some showers across the northern parts of the state, as well as getting into Nebraska. So we will be watching you guys very closely in this city right here that I will again not name for the potential for hail this afternoon and into the evening hours. So zooming on out, taking a look at our temperatures, quite pleasant across the eastern part of the U.S. where temperatures are in the 60s, 68 in Charleston, even reaching 70 right now in Atlanta, 80 down in Miami, 64 in Kansas City, and then 70s as we get into here in Oklahoma City and down into Texas. And taking a look at the upper levels, you can see there is that short wave that we will be keeping an eye on as we get through the rest of today and into tonight, as this will be the trigger for that severe weather. So taking a look at some metro areas here in Oklahoma City, temperatures are warming up, getting into the lower 70s. It's 72 in Oklahoma City, 74 down in Shawnee, 71 in Tulsa. A lot of sunshine out there today, and getting down into the Dallas area, it's 72 there in Dallas proper, 73 in Fort Worth, and a lower 70s elsewhere across the DFW metro. And then getting down into the Austin region, it's 70 in Austin, 74 down in San Antonio, and then in Houston, a little bit warmer, getting some of that Gulf moisture, 75 in Houston, 77 in Beaumont. And then lastly, taking a look at our Denver area, it is only 47 there and even cooler as you go a bit further north. So we're going to actually start out with the jet stream. We have a very large trough here setting up in the west, and there are a few little short waves that are basically being pushed out in the downstream area of this trough. As we get into this afternoon and evening, we'll be watching a little area here that could produce some severe weather here in Missouri. And then as we get into tomorrow, we will start to see a low kind of cutting off from the main jet stream flow, but elsewhere we're going to see the potential for severe weather setting up basically from Detroit to Chicago to central Missouri all the way down to parts of eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas. So a pretty large area we're going to be watching tomorrow. And then getting into Friday, that cutoff low pushes off to the west into California. You can see still a little bit of a disturbance here left over that we will be watching for potential for severe weather along the Gulf Coast on Friday. And then that will continue on, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then on Saturday, we start to get some more cold air across the northern Great Lakes region. So that instability, this is actually jumping into Thursday. I forgot to set it back to today as well. But tomorrow, it looks like we're going to see a lot of instability returning, basically from Missouri all the way down to Texas. Even as far north as Chicago and Detroit, the values don't look very impressive here. The majority of that instability is going to be further south. But as we get into tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, you can see those values just continue to be around. But getting back to today, this is stopped at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. You can see a few storms trying to develop here in the St. Louis area, parts of central Missouri. Then we get later on into the evening, this is at 10:30. Some more robust activity is expected to fire up. So Kansas City will be watching you guys very carefully from basically 7 to 11 p.m. Even more activity as we go further west in parts of northern Kansas, southern Nebraska, and even as far east as parts of central Illinois. There is a possibility we can see storms as far south as far eastern Oklahoma, but this model is not really showing a whole lot, but just keep that in mind. But then as we get into the overnight hours, it looks like we're going to get a nice line here forming, so central Illinois all the way down to central Missouri, and even some more storms out in Kansas. We could see a noisy beginning of our Thursday morning. So here is today's hail forecast, a pretty nice size area in terms of quarter to $1/2 size hail, but you can see that we have a larger hail chance here from this city right here. I'll try not to jinx you guys. Basically westward into central Kansas, we can see up to 2-inch hail there. Elsewhere, Columbia, you can see up to golf ball size hail, and then lower chances to see quarter to $1/2 size hail from Springfield, Wichita down. I have us here, Oklahoma City, in the risk where we see storms fire. The chances are extremely low, but if we can get that moisture return and that instability, we could see a storm or two here fire. But again, those chances are very low. The chances are much better as you head further north. And then same areas for our winds, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts are possible from Lincoln, Des Moines, low chances for you. But that city right here, Casey, we'll see the higher chances to see some gusty winds. In Columbia, Springfield, we have some lower chances as well. And I mean, I have to put in there is a low chance to see a tornado or two, basically in those same areas, Wichita, Casey, all the way even into parts of eastern Oklahoma. Again, eastern Oklahoma, very, very, very low chance of even a storm firing in the state today. But if it does happen, there is a chance for some hail, wind, and maybe a tornado or two. But again, a very low chance here. The better chances are further north. So getting into tomorrow, this is at 7 a.m. Central Time. That line will be pushing into central Illinois. Gusty winds probably wake up to some noisy storms here in Chicago, St. Louis, and that activity will push into parts of lower Michigan by noontime, as well as down into Indianapolis. But then as we get later on into the afternoon, you can see we're going to start to clear out once again with those storms from the overnight hours pushing into Ohio. Keep an eye on here. I can see some new storm development is expected to develop between like 5 and 6 p.m. This is by 7 p.m. St. Louis down into the southern parts of Missouri. You guys can possibly see some large hail developing there, and that will continue to push off to the east as we get into the overnight hours. This is further south now, taking a look at basically southern parts of Missouri down into Arkansas, all the way down to DFW. We'll be okay for the most part through the early afternoon hours, maybe a few scattered showers, but then stopping it at 4 p.m. Central Time. You can see those isolated storms starting to fire up. They look like supercells in this model, so again, since they're by themselves and they're in supercell mode, potentially discrete storm mode, that is the best mode to see that large hail. So this is at 4 p.m. moving forward to about 6:30. More storms look like they're going to fire up here along the Missouri-Arkansas border, and then really starting to ramp up as we get into the evening hours, and then stopping at midnight, basically from Missouri, Arkansas, maybe as far south as Dallas. We got to keep an eye on you guys as those storms fire up and move off to the east. So it could potentially be a pretty busy day here. And this is at 7 a.m. Friday, still a few storms here in the Dallas area. So tomorrow through early Friday, we will be watching this area very carefully. So here's tomorrow's hail forecast. Again, a pretty large area we're going to be watching from Chicago all the way down to Dallas. We have you in a moderate right now. I think it's going to be a low to a moderate chance there for you guys. Tulsa, low chance. The best chance to see that large hail low is going to be here in Little Rock, Fort Smith, up to Springfield, pushing further north here into St. Louis. Up to 2-inch hail is possible for basically this entire region here in the red. Des Moines, you have a low chance to see $1.25 size hail, as well as again Chicago and into the Detroit area down into Indianapolis. So again, a pretty large area that we'll be watching tomorrow. A lot of storms, could be a pretty busy few days here at the Hail Palace. And then for those winds, same areas basically from Dallas, Shreveport, northward to Little Rock, Springfield, St. Louis, as far north as Chicago and into the Detroit area. Ann Arbor is just west of Detroit. I know because I lived in that state for most of my life. So Indianapolis and Columbus, Ohio, low chances for some winds as well. And then of course, with any storms that develop, there is that chance for a few tornadoes, so please keep that in mind. And then, if that wasn't enough, we have another chance for severe weather on Friday. We got to keep an eye on this system to see what it does, what is left over as we get into Friday. But as of right now, Mississippi, Alabama, down into parts of Louisiana and far eastern Texas, we will be watching you guys on Friday for the potential for severe weather there. So we're getting closer to the actual beginning of spring, and Mother Nature is starting to wake up. You don't want to miss anything, so if you haven't already, follow us on Twitter or X, whatever the heck you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as our TikTok page. Make sure you hit See First on Facebook so you don't miss any of our videos. If you have any questions or concerns, if you want to learn more about what we do here, you can call us at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com. Check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. And then if you would like to do a demo and learn more about our products, you can scan that QR code above, and that will get you all set up to have a demo with us here. So again, it's going to be pretty busy potentially over the next few days. So keep it here at Hail Trace. But for now, I'm meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday.